the
This
open door
conference
kitchen
will now
building,
be recorded.
then you know that it is very similar in architectural design to that building. This is the project site location. So this picture was taken standing on the open door kitchen property facing the south. So you can see that's the location of the building. That tree line there will be removed. That road is not an actual road; it's a driveway, so that doesn't cause any problems. This area is zoned light industrial. As you can see, the Missouri Public Service property off in the background, the railroad, and so on. So who are the board of directors and who's sponsoring this program? Well, this is a list of the board of directors members. You probably know quite a few of them. It's a fine group of people. It's the best group of people I've ever worked with. They're all honest, good folks who are out to do the best for the community. And as you can see, Vicki is the treasurer, Krista Kempton's secretary, and Mike Smith serves as vice president, myself as president. I wanted to list also it's a partial list, but the partners that we really value in this project, because this is not just a board project that's being promoted by these 8 people. We have a lot of great partners who are committed both financially and hours of work in it. So you can see that we have health professionals and legal professionals. Catholic Charities is very active. We have construction folks, numerous churches. Open Door is a partner. It's sometimes misunderstood, thinking that this is an open door project. It's actually on open door property, but that's through a lease arrangement between the Mercy Rest Stop Board and Open Door. So what are the services that are intended to be for the building? Well, what we could consider the core services are professional assistance to help people obtain a more stable lifestyle. And so our intent from the very beginning is to provide people who want assistance, that assistance that they need. And so we know, and I'm sure you're aware, that we have a lot of mental illness. We have all different reasons why people are in the condition that they're in, that they have a very difficult time establishing a stable lifestyle for themselves and retaining that lifestyle. So one of the misconceptions that we often hear is the word homelessness being assigned to the project in a very narrow perspective. But that's not the case at all. We actually expect more of the patrons for the facility to be not homeless than to be homeless, because there are so many people that are barely retaining their home. They don't have enough money to turn on the utilities in many cases, and so on and so forth. So we're there to help them from becoming homeless and to establish a more stable lifestyle. So you can see the providers of those professional services. Katy Trail Community Health are committed to a full-time staff person. Burrell Behavioral Health, also committed to a staff person. Catholic Charities has committed to hiring and paying the salary of the director for the first 3 years of operation, and they'll also cover a significant portion of the operational costs for the first 3 years. The Missouri Job Center will be providing information on training and how to apply for a job, how to get a job, all those kinds of types of help that people need in order to get employed. Ministerial services, we have numerous clergy that have contacted us that want to work on a routine basis out of the building to help people with their spiritual needs. And I actually failed to mention that the Mercy Rest Stop Board considers itself a faith-based organization. It's not just accidental that we have Matthew 25 on the slides. It's that is the reason why we are driven to provide these services. And we expect that once we get closer to operation, we're going to have more social service type folks that want to be a part of it. The whole idea is to connect people with the services that they need. So these, in addition to those services, helping people with the basic services that they need to get over some of their bigger problems like addiction and mental illness and so on and so forth. These are the basic amenities that will also be provided by the facility. So we know that 24/7 restrooms are needed in the area, and so it's we saw this as a way to another service for the community is to take that problem and provide a solution to it. 24/7 water. Again, there has not been a source of water for folks who need it, whether it be for the homeless or for somebody who's not able to meet their water bill and gets shut off. We want to supply water for anybody that needs it. Showers and laundry, of course, we all understand how that leads to a person feeling more dignified and just being able to get around in the community, apply for a job, and feel comfortable about it. One of the groups that we interviewed to develop the services was homeless people. And that was one of the things about the facility that really struck home, that is so badly needed. One of the gentlemen I talked to said, when he saw that, he said, Bill, we stink, and we know we stink. And so we don't want to be around people to offend them. So yeah, we stay out of the site, and we don't go out in public places any more than we absolutely have to. And this service alone would free us to be able to look for a job, feel comfortable about going to an interview, and so on and so forth. So I thought that was a very important testimonial to this one service that will be provided. Access to information. So the building will be equipped with small rooms with computers so that people can research, assistance, whatever they need, and get the information they need. Service to the broader public in case of a natural disaster. So the building is designed with backup generator so that in case of a natural disaster, the space could also be used for the house the general public. So this complements the open door kitchen, which is also backed up by generator in case of a natural disaster. So we have those two working together to serve the public in that area. A safe place to escape severe weather. So we often refer to that as a warming shelter or a cooling shelter. So it is not a homeless shelter. Never was intended to be a homeless shelter and will not be a homeless shelter. Some people don't understand the difference between a warming shelter and a homeless shelter. That's understandable. So a warming shelter is operated by a temperature, what we call a temperature trigger. In other words, it's established ahead of time by policy at what temperature the shelter will be open. Let's say, for example, it's 20 degrees. So the shelter is not open until the forecast for the next 24 hours includes a temperature 20 degrees or less. And then it's announced that the shelter is open at that period. Can't hear you, sir. It's a warming shelter, not a homeless shelter. Yeah. How many? Well, Sally Lockett, one of the board members, and myself started the warming shelter in Sedalia about 4 years ago. Where was the location? At that time, Open Door had just taken possession of the Open Door kitchen building. We were in the process of constructing the kitchen, part of it. Yeah. And so we had a warm building, and the temperature was going to 10 below zero. So it was common sense to us that we would save lives by opening it, and so we did. But from that point on, we've developed, myself and many people have developed a warming shelter, and it's moved over to St. Pat's basement. It's okay. I'll keep going. Yep. And then the last bullet there is a place for families in crisis for short duration stays. So the building is designed with 3 family rooms. They can be used in the warming shelter service, but they'll also be available for families in crisis that, and the most common example that we often see here in town is when somebody's house burns down. From being on the Open Door board for years and others in the room that churches and so on know that when somebody's house burns down, then it's a scramble to find someplace for them so they can get into shelter and so on until they can get arrangements made. I actually got a call this morning from a woman who I manage the Open Door Kitchen as a volunteer. She wanted to know if there was any way we could provide meals. 2 brothers' house burned down last night. They put them up in a motel for a couple of days, didn't know how long they could afford to do that, but they needed food. And so we're providing meals for those 2 gentlemen. But that's an example of how this facility would have a room available so that the fire department, whoever was in charge of getting those folks a place, would automatically have a place for the family to stay until they can make other arrangements. So obviously one of the biggest sources of misinformation is that this was to be a homeless shelter. We keep saying that it's not. Some people don't believe us, but I wanted to show you some information which shows you how committed we are to that. This is a quote from a document that was written 2 years ago in January of 2020 when we first started working on this project. And it says, the proposed support center is based on these premises. It is meant to provide a hand up, not handouts, and it is not to provide as a homeless shelter. Now, so we were committed to that in the very beginning, and we've stuck to our guns and continue to be committed to that. No, sir, I'm going to finish. Thank you. And so this. And so to further show how committed we are, this is an excerpt from the bylaws of our nonprofit. As you know, those are binding. And if you can't read this, I understand the small print. I'm not the greatest at cutting and pasting and so on. So I'll read it to you. And it says that the organization is organized exclusively for charitable purposes under Section 501C, the Internal Revenue Code, or corresponding section of any future federal tax code, and to engage in charitable and social service activities with a primary mission to assist the impoverished to gain an independent lifestyle. It is the intent of this organization to facilitate provision of social services and to provide emergency shelter for short durations, i.e. during adverse weather, thus providing safety for any individual in the community, whether or not they have a home. So early in our organization establishment, we were committed to serving both the homeless and those that had a home but needed help, and that it was not intended to be a homeless shelter. Other activities will provide aid, comfort, and support for individuals and their families in need. By definition, a homeless shelter will not be provided. We go on to further define that in parentheses. Emergency shelters operate for short durations, often during adverse weather, providing safety for any individual in the community, whether or not they have a home. Homeless shelters provide temporary residence for homeless individuals. So I think we made it perfectly clear from the very beginning that we did not intend to open a homeless shelter and that we will not. So another question that's come up is communication. So we thought maybe we didn't do a good enough job. We thought that we had communicated with the city sufficiently to move forward. So we met with Mayor Katie on January 19th of 2021. The individuals in the meeting were Dr. Mark Register, Larry McGowan, Martin White, and myself. And we had a good discussion. And the mayor was very complimentary of the project and said he supported the project. So we provided him with written information. He said he would go back to the city council, and we trusted he would, and he did. In text messages exchanged between the mayor and myself in the following days indicated that the mayor did share that information with the city council, and that was received favorably. And so we thought we were good to go to proceed further. And so we met with professionals in the police department, the fire department, Bothwell Regional Health Center, and the community development department, and got excellent help in helping design the facility so that it would be effective in what we intended it for. It would be efficient and just function as a good community service. The Mercy Rest Stop Board moved ahead, and with all that collaboration, we thought we were in good shape. What kind of support do we have? Well, in fundraising, we've got great support from families, civic groups, churches, and businesses. In-kind commitments from construction contractors is going very well. One of the things that we're most impressed with is the self-directed initiatives by those groups to do fundraising for us. So we have individual families, we have civic groups and churches and businesses who actually hold fundraising events for the project. I think that speaks clearly of their commitment to getting this accomplished. Where do we stand on the monetary donations? We're at 350,000 plus in-kind commitments. We're at over 500,000. What we have remaining is about 500,000 in these days of during the pandemic. As you probably are well aware, building construction costs vary almost from day to day, and so some days they're up and some days they're down. So that $500,000 number is bound to change. We have enthusiastic professional participation. This is the excerpt from the letter from Executive Chief of Executive Officer from the hospital. It reads, the Mercy Rest Stop and Resource Center will be an invaluable asset to the Sedalia area and the people who need it most. We are proud to be your partner on this worthwhile project as we both work toward our respective goals to help people in our community heal and live healthy and strong lives. And from President of the Central Regional Behavioral Health, Matt Gass, we believe the Mercy Rest Stop will help community members find stability in their lives, and we are excited to partner and help fulfill your mission to facilitate connecting those in need with the agencies who can assess their situation and find them the help they need. As a community mental health center, our mission is to form meaningful connections and inspire hope in our community through individualized and accessible care, quality practices, and collaborative partnerships. This aligns with the purpose and vision outlined by the Mercy Rest Stop. The timeline for the project, well, the goal has always been to complete it as soon as possible so that we can open up services as quickly as possible. Obviously, the pandemic has thrown many hurdles up for all of us in all aspects of our lives. This project is no different, but as we see it with the Lord's ever-present hand, we remain persistent. Right now, I can say that we're on track to be operational late fall or early winter of this year. And we ask the community to stand with us as we are assured we'll also have more hurdles thrown up. As we know, COVID is surging now, and who knows what the future will bring. So in many ways, the response of the community has been overwhelming, although it was not unexpected because the good people of this community have a history of supporting sound community-minded projects. On the path forward, we throw out two suggestions. One, obviously communication has failed in the past, so we invite a member from the neighborhood, the community in that area, to nominate a member for our board. That would be a full voting member, so that we had constant communication from this point forward with the community and the board of directors. I guess we just are failures. The board expresses its desire for the city to join as a contributing partner in construction and operation. And then number three, the Mercy Rest Stop Coalition Board reiterates its unwavering commitment to the project. So in using some language that we're all familiar with right now, these are the thoughts that I would leave you with. Don't mask the truth. Test positive for faith. Distance yourself from doubt. Isolate yourself from fear. And the most important, trust in God, because that's who we're trusting. And now I'll take your questions. Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, it's been asked if individuals that choose to speak, if they would state their name.
Okay. I think it would be appropriate to have Bishop Paul come forward and make his presentation. Then we'll open it up for Q&A. Bishop Paul, please. And I would ask the same respect for Bishop Paul as we had for Phil Turner.
Am I supposed to be up here?
You can be anywhere because your voice is very dominant.
Good evening. My name is Bishop Paul Jones. I pastor Burns Chapel, Free Will Baptist Church. Several weeks ago, I came to the city council and asked the city council to get a meeting because there were too many rumors going around. I asked the question, and I want to ask Mercy Restop, is there somewhere else that this could be done? Because I have people coming to me as a minister in the community and asking me these questions, and I don't have the answers. Also, I'm concerned because nobody knew anything. I see in your literature and I see in your paperwork and stuff that you say you did these things. But the things that we're doing now should have been considered to be done months ago. People in the community are upset because they have the thinking that nobody asked us nothing. And please, this is a nice community. And don't get anybody wrong because we're here at this meeting. Nobody is against, that have talked to me, is against your mission. But the question keeps coming up, why do they want to put it on the north side? Is there somewhere else that this could have been put, or have you all even looked at other places to put this facility? My question is, if you did consider other places, did you go into the community and do a survey? Did you go into the community and pass out information as we're trying to pass it out here now? Because people like to know what's going on and don't want to feel dumped on. And this is some of the consensus that has been brought to my attention as a minister in the community on the north side of Sedalia. This is, we feel like we're being dumped on. Nobody's asked us nothing. Nobody's told us nothing. There's rumors going around that it's going to be a homeless shelter. Sir, all I came in and asked for was to get some answers and get them to the people. I also asked, the question is, was there any kind of feasibility study done? Was there any kind of consideration given to what kind of budgetary matters that it was going to cause upon the city itself, the city council and the city government? Please let the people know what's going on. Don't wait until the last minute to tell people, oh, by the way, we're going to do this.
I think your concerns are legitimate.
Sir?
I think your concerns are legitimate.
Well, I do too. But that's not the point. The point of it is,
because somebody started the false information going around
Sir, I'm going to tell you. Hold up. Let me.
We're not offended because it's a homeless shelter. We're offended because, like you said, you come in, you dump something on us, and not talk to us. Yeah, because you asked the homeless and the addict. We can't believe that's what the still is out there, and we still living, right? But the new orders are, you can't sleep at night. Anyone put some help on our flag? And I want the people that live close to this floor, because we hear it in my house, sound like my furnace is going. Oh, have my shaking sometimes. For real.
Ladies and gentlemen, could I please finish? Thank you. I'm gonna sit down and shut up. But I'm concerned because rumors bring about problems, and they say brings about lies. And what has been said so far is well and good. But again, I ask, was there consideration given for anywhere else?
No, there wasn't, and the reason why is that we always felt that the service needed to be next to the open door. A lot of people who need these services are the same people that need food every day. And so, well, 95% of those people that open that.
Hey, man, I'm going to sit down and shut up.
Okay, shut up here and, we can open up for questions now. We'll do it some logical order. If you want to raise your hand, and Mr. Newbill? Yeah. You're going to direct this question to Bill?
I'm just going to direct the question to the community.
Mr. Newbill, your name?
Ira Newbill,
Your address?
302 Northwood Road. I live a half a block from where they're supposed to be proposed. I hear some of y'all say, we're not worried about the homeless shelter. We wasn't told. I'm worried about the homeless shelter. This stuff is gone on the internet. Homeless people from St. Louis, Columbia, they know. They have a network. So they just got this opening now. Let's go there. I'll guarantee you, 60-70% of people that go there want to be from Sedalia. It's just like this cafe. I mean, all those people that come over there are not from that community. I mean, how many black people? I can count on how many black people go in there and eat. The only one that used to be there was Herman, and he would have to clean up the place. He didn't eat there. But I think you got the impression that we need all this stuff.
Mr. Kenton, you cooked on Monday at the kitchen. How many black people?
Not so much black people, just the community.
Well, by the time, you think? Yeah. But see, chapter 12, if you got to think about the rest. The other day?
On Monday, it was a holiday, so there were more people there, sir, than normal. And I'm not good with numbers, I apologize, but I believe there were 76 and 12 of them. One actually came that was a cook there before that had worked for us, that had worked there, that was hired as an employee to cook at the kitchen. And I also help with, I just recently moved into the neighborhood, so I live in this area now, and I feel like I haven't experienced anything bad because of what's happening there as far as Open Doors presence and the kitchen's presence. I don't think we're dumping. I think what we're trying to do is enhance and help. I wouldn't be doing this. I don't dump on people. I worked here my whole life.
I live in that that lay sleeping there, and mad because you say something to them.
That's what we want to try to do, is help get them off the street, help them.
No, you know, that's all you put up in my neighborhood. I would like to have y'all take a survey and ask how many people that go in that community, whatever it is, eat. How many of them from Sedalia? Yeah, but I mean, I say driving from St. Louis. Oh, people that have problems go to all over the country.
Let's get somebody else to talk.
Yeah, well, you know.
How about go back here?
Why don't you let Bothwell donate some land and put it out there where the health and all that stuff is? I work with Bothwell.
Mayor Katie, if you would, just for a minute, I understand that this is, a tense time for some, and that.
Does everybody know Tina?
Yeah, do you all know Tina Vargas, Second Ward City Council person? I'm sorry. We understand that there's a lot of anger built up, but what I'm going to ask is that let's keep it on this level and not attack each other and try to get all of the answers that we need to get. I don't have a problem with asking those questions on that page that were handed out, but if I ask the question, please allow Mr. Turner or somebody from Mercy Stop to answer the question before we start saying something else, okay? Because we want to leave from this meeting having received the information that we need, understanding what is happening, and letting our thoughts and our feelings be heard. Okay. And I have spoke with Mr. Turner, and that's exactly what I have relayed to him, that, well, yeah. It's hard to get off that bad foot, but you can get off of it. And so, okay, my name is Ava Seabury. I'm from Sedalia, been here all my life. And the first thing I see is trusting God. Well, God says not to trust no man, because he deceives himself. And then God says, be careful of wolves in sheep clothing. So see, this is what we're experiencing. I'm going to tell you right now, there's a girl that I know, up and down the street, I'm sure everybody else knows her, they cannot do nothing with her. She's a veteran. She's an addict. She's homeless. They take her in at the jail every other weekend for 24 hours, 48 hours, and we still have to deal with her. She's torn up stuff. She's been laying around at the little place up here in Levi. She lays around there, do snow angels. And what they tell us, you cannot do nothing for homeless people. All the veterans, you don't pick them up anymore. This young lady should be off the street. She's going to get hurt. She's going to get killed, or something's going to happen to her because we can't get rid of her. As a matter of fact, she goes with my dad. He's 90 years old, and she's taking advantage of him. And you think she's going to stay in the shelter? She might go in there and get a drink of water, but she's going right back out there to get her bed. That's the way I see it. Every day. Every time she gets a veteran pay or disability check, she goes with her buddy. They go out to the economy lodge. They have a fun while we're sitting home trying to grow our families and our homes. So when you start talking about God, you better put all of us in there, because see, I'm gonna stand here before you. I dearly love my Father. I'm not afraid to say I love the Lord, because He's not gonna turn me down when I go upstairs. You can bring up my past, but He's already forgiven me.
Thank you.
You know, I think too, the community, it's the people that live in that area. See, I never have problems from that, you know. 2 o'clock o'clock in the morning, it's people everywhere. Meth is walking around all over the place. You say 24 hours, 24/7, you can watch us and all that. People there at 3 o'clock in the morning watching us. In fact, the guy that just crossed the street from me, last summer, there were 2 people in his backyard. He had a 5-year-old kid. They had a little kid that was talking to him by himself. So I see it. I go over there and ask them there. They said they weren't from here. They just wanted a place to set up their tent. Well, naturally, when the father comes out, he's ready to kill him. You know? So if you don't live proximity of that place, I don't care if you do live on the north side. You don't know. She knows. I know. How many of y'all?
Yeah, my name is Paul Buckner, and I have a question for Mr. Turner. Mr. Turner, since the food cafe been there, it was put there to be a food place where people come in, eat, and leave. Is that correct? Okay. Then how did it all of a sudden turn out to a shelter for the homeless? They had tents, they lived in cars on the side of the road, and there's still cars there today. You see what I'm saying? So now y'all talking about putting an emergency stop over there where people not going to stay? What's going to be the difference? Where do we stop?
Good question. So we've been, and by we, I mean Open Door, because it's, as I said before, this is an open door facility. So we're in a tough spot. There we do not allow camping. I know there's been people who have set up tents, but they've been removed immediately as soon as we can. And so when it comes to the vehicles, in bad weather conditions, like last year when it was 10 below zero for whatever it was, 2 weeks, yep, we let them plug into the outside of the building and so that they could stay alive. There was an extreme emergency because people die in those temperatures. And so what the Mercy Rest Stop is intended to be is to stop that, because as I explained, the whole purpose of the core services is to help these people get a stable lifestyle. So when it goes into effect and starts operation, then these other parking and so on will be eliminated. They won't be allowed to do it because they do have options at that point.
How you do anything at 3 o'clock in the morning when you home sleep?
You just said when it going to effect. So in other words, what you're saying, it's already happened.
No, when the building is built.
That you're going to do it, regardless of what we feel, how we feel. Is that correct?
I don't think I understood.
Yeah. What you're saying, regardless how we feel or what we say, okay, it's already happened. Because you're going to do it, regardless. So why are we here?
You already said you had talked
to development people
and stuff like that.
I'm sorry, I'm not following you.
What he's saying is,
Yes, you are.
the decision has already been made
Yeah.
to build the facility.
Paul, Mr. Buckner, if you all would allow me to ask these questions that's on this paper, maybe we can get some answers. But we don't want to continue, and I know Mr. Ira, and I know Mr. Paul personally, and I know that you're wound up. I get it, but we can. I know you got. I know you have questions just like everybody else. I understand, but if the only two people that gets to talk or ask questions is going to be you all, we're not going to get through. So please, can I ask these questions? Okay. Well, all right. Let's ask the question.
the paper that was handed out to everyone, can we ask these questions and get an answer without interruption? Get an answer, and then you can ask more questions. No, they are not the questions that they've written out. These are questions in which people have asked me to ask.
Gina, you want to read those questions?
I would.
Okay.
I'd like to.
Now, these are questions that people have submitted these questions to Tina.
Yeah. This is, the questions that I'm referring to is on the handout that we handed out to you, that 1 through 7, okay? Mr. Turner?
Go ahead.
It's been said and it's been asked that you said that in January 2021, a year ago, you were told City Council was favorable in this project. May we ask you who told you that? Because as a member of City Council during that time, I've not heard this.
Right. And so you mean it's okay if you don't remember, but in my presentation I went through that about how we met with the mayor and how text messages between the mayor and myself, we were given the impression that the city council was.
Answer that question.
Yeah.
So I did meet with the group in that particular time frame. They made the presentation to me. Of course, at that time, we were all concerned about the homeless issue, specifically in that neighborhood. And it was so in the pop-out tent. Just a minute. So the question was asked, what do you think the city, I asked them what we could do as a city, and they said, well, we're looking for about $22,000 to $25,000 annually to support the facility. And there's no way that I personally could make that decision. I would have to take it back to the city council. I brought the original drawing of the facility, talked, and I don't remember having a conversation with Tina. Were you on board then, Tina?
I don't remember.
I don't think so. But anyway, I think all the council, we shared it, and the council was somewhat resistant to it. I had a text message back to Bill in regard to that, but from that time on, it went somewhat quiet.
Okay. Okay. So, all right, question number 2. It's been said that you collaborated with city professionals in the police and fire department. Can you tell us exactly who you're speaking of in those 2 departments that you spoke with?
The chief of police and the fire chief at the time.
The chief of police and the fire chief at that time?
Yep.
Okay. Number 3, if you met with other entities in January 2021, why didn't you meet with the Northside community in which you're wanting to be neighbors of and get their input about this project?
We failed in that regard.
You failed. Okay. Okay. He failed to do that in that regard. Number 4, you say the only 24/7 service available will be water and restrooms. If these things are available 24/7, what makes us think or believe that the people won't hang around that source 24/7?
Because it never struck me that somebody would hang around the restroom.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you use that microphone, sir? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I don't think it ever occurred to us that someone would hang around just for a restroom. I could be wrong.
Okay. Okay.
Sure.
Come over here. I got a big enough mouth, Bobby, and I was open my mouth. Sir, city has been built around water. People are going to hang around where there's water available to them and accessible. So, people hang around in the park, even after closing out, because there's that circulation.
Right.
Good question. Don't anybody before.
Well, maybe we can talk about that. Maybe we can limit the hours and so that it won't be an attraction 24/7. But we thought that it was a service to the community. Okay.
Okay. Question number,
So the restroom and the water are outside access. These masks are really tough to understand.
So during 24 hours, 24/7, there's no staffing or supervision?
No, because the building will be closed.
Okay. So there will be no staffing or supervision. Is that correct?
There will not be 24/7 staffing. Yeah.
okay. Number 5, it says, you've said that there's no overnight parking nor camping will be allowed. And the question is, why is it being allowed and happening now? There is an individual in a white van that plugs an extension cord into the community cafe building each night. Why is that being allowed? Wouldn't that be considered somebody living on or sleeping on or staying on the property?
Yeah, and like I said, that's a fair question. The difference being is that how we're going to operate after the building is open as compared to what's happening now across the street on the open door facility.
Okay. Question number 6, why would you build a $750,000 building with no kitchen or eating facility when you know there's a need for the facility to have such access? Why not take the kitchen equipment from the community cafe and put it in the new building, therefore leaving the existing building available for perhaps rental activities which could profit the rest stop? You have stated the reason you want to put it on Benton Street was to be close to the community cafe where folks could eat. By doing this, there would be no need to put it on Benton Street.
So I'm hearing a couple of different thoughts there that seem to contradict one another. I'll take the first sentence. So, yes, we agree. The kitchen facility is needed. And we already have that built, operating, and so on. So we wouldn't build that much more space into this facility, which would cost a great deal more money, and then move that equipment there when we already have it operating where it's at. It would be cost prohibitive to do that.
Okay. The next question is, why are you asking the city of Sedalia for $20,000 or so a year to help run this building? Have you searched for other funding? Better yet, if you can't afford to operate it on your own, why build it in the first place?
Sure. Well, as far as the first part of the question, we thought that this building and the services we were providing were services to the community, and that we thought it was logical that the city could help out. As simple as that.
Okay.
We threw out the $20,000 as a starting point for discussion, based on the fact that we've done the calculations on how much it costs for basic operation of the building. In other words, keeping the lights on and doors open. And so that $20,000 wouldn't cover all that. It would go significantly towards that. And then research for other funding. I think that was covered in the presentation, and Catholic Charities is a big answer to that question as far as the initial operation.
Okay, I have, two other questions, and these questions are for myself personally to be answered. Have you considered, instead of building this one large building, perhaps building tiny homes throughout Sedalia to help shelter these folks instead of that one location?
Well, the answer to that is, again, it's not a shelter. So what tiny homes would provide would be residences, and that's not what we're about, and we're not about to be about that. And the other thing is that you can see is that, and I hope I've explained, is the services that are being provided to help those, whether it be mental illness, physical disabilities, so on and so forth. And again, tiny homes wouldn't provide those services.
Okay, and I truly understand that, but once they've gone there, let's just take a scenario, okay? Once they've gone there, they come, they fill out the application with Burrell. They fill out the application with the health department. They fill out the application with all of the entities that you're planning on putting in this building. Then where do they go? They've got to leave that building because you said they're not going to be able to live there. So where do they go? Back out on the street, and there's still no shelter for them. So that was the only reason I said, maybe going into single homes, $750,000 could build several single homes that would help to provide stability and a roof over their head.
Yeah, that's a good point. We've had this conversation over the past 6 months, having a more active Sedalia Housing Authority and providing some of this transitional housing for this scenario. We're probably ahead of the game. We need to probably have this facility for this transitional housing available before this person rents off is built. Because where are these people going to go? If they do have a community and they have a home, that's fine. But the majority of people do not have a facility to go to. And so we have no place, and we're short of housing as it is in Sedalia. And we're trying to desperately work with the Sedalia Housing Authority and to do some of this transitional housing, maybe tiny homes is an answer. But we don't have a solution yet or an answer, and it's probably 3 years out, maybe more than that. But I think the council, as far as the council is concerned, I think they believe that's the next step. Appreciate it.
Okay. And last question.
Well, if I could comment.
I know that when you and I had conversation, you said that you was only going to have one staff, and I believe that was a director over there at that building on a daily basis.
No, there'll be two. Katie Trail Community Health.
Okay, there'll be two staff there. So they'll be there from Monday through Friday.
But then there's also Burrell will have staff there on some schedule, and then the job services.
Okay, but as far as a director for the Mercy Rest Stop, I'm talking about employee for the Mercy Rest Stop, not the other entities that are going to be there, but an employee for the Mercy Rest Stop.
Yeah.
Is there anyone other than the director in which you had said you would be able to get through the funding that you've received? Is there another staff person that's going to be there Monday through Thursday, Monday through Friday, Monday through?
It would be great to have a second person.
And so the answer is no, you don't have anybody.
Well, not now.
Okay.
Well, the timeline for hiring is that we're going to put the director on about the time construction starts, so that they have several months to coordinate with other social service agencies around town and so on, and develop the policies and procedures that are needed in order to operate the facility. As the board of directors, we know that there should be professionals involved in making those policies and procedures, and so that's the reason for that timing.
Okay. I want to stress very strongly tonight, I'm not against the purpose of the facility, not at all. I'm concerned with the position of where you want to put it at and whether or not you've looked at other places.
Debbie Fry, 408 West Johnson Street. Now that you've heard some of the concerns, or you getting ready to continue to go forward, or are you going to stop and take time to re-evaluate this?
We don't have any pictures to stop the process. Like I said, we're likely to work that out and cover all the discussion on how to change the operation so that it feels more comfortable.
You want to say something? Oh, okay.
Ava Seabury, Sedalia. My first question is, this place is going to be an enabler for the drug addicts, for the people that are homeless that don't want to get off the street. We see them every day. If they wanted to get off, they have family, they have other means. Because the state's not going to do it, they can't do anything with none of them. So, and then you talk about all these other entities. I've seen people go and come. I had a pastor tell me he had 4 young ladies that was on drugs. He takes them in. The next morning, they're gone. They can't stay off the street. They got to go out and get their stuff. And then what's going to happen when they start migrating downtown and all the businesses we have? Cars getting broke in. Children getting molested. You know, these are things we have to live with every day. And I'm just like Miss Tina. I don't want to see nobody out there in the world with nothing. But there's people living with their own family that's homeless. What are you going to do about those people? You know, you do for one group, you have to do for the other. And when the people start coming down, going to the stores and things, stealing, you can't keep them out of public places. So I'm asking, please, what are you going to do about that?
I don't know who done the second set of questions, but there is a very good question, number 2. It says, you point out that one of the issues you are focusing on is addressing addiction. Agree that this is a big part of the issues holding many of those individuals in this situation. However, in this setting, how do you plan to keep them from enabling continuance of this lifestyle? Also, how do you plan to migrate attracting the criminal behavior that often accompanies or follows addiction?
That's where staffing is
Okay, you're staffing the facilities from 8 to 5 or whatever the hours may be.
Thanks.
But if I'm not mistaken, addiction usually is 24/7 problem. I've never been an addict, but I'm assuming that addicts don't operate for most of the time.
I think I'll refer this to a professional. So Chris Stewart.
I'm Chris Stewart. I'm the Chief Executive Officer at Trail Community Health. We have committed to put a community health worker at the location. We frankly haven't talked about when that person would be there, but our intention is for that person to be there when the Mercy Rec needs that person to be there. So if it's 8 to 5, which it likely is not going to be, or if it's weekend, whatever, that's the intention of a community health worker. Second, what a community health worker does is bring people into care. And a community health worker is somebody that comes from a community. So I will make a pledge right here, right now, that the person that we hire will come from the North Side. That person's intention will be to bridge two services, whether or not it's the trail, whether or not it's rural, whether or not it's Compass Health Network, whether or not it is Open Door, whether or not it is HUD, Housing Authority. That's what our job is as a health center. Our new health center is 2 blocks away, across the road, on 305 West Main. So our intention and our partnership you see me right here putting my mask on, I will guarantee you that we hire someone from the north side to be our community health worker in that location. Because I understand what you're saying. Folks weren't involved in the decision, right? But we're here now. We know that the community needs the services that I just described, right? We know that. This is one way that we can help provide that. And we'll make a commitment to you about it. We will make a commitment to you. Our whole intention of putting our health center where it's going to be at 305 Main is to serve the north side. That's the whole intention. Yes, yes. But what's going to happen to the other people? You know, because I'm talking about, I understand what you're saying, but let me just say, what we know is that 50% of those people who are addicted also have mental illness. And they become addicted because of that mental illness. So we're going to get that those underlying causes if they don't want to. They may not, but then we want to give up. If we want to give up, no,
Oh, poor Jesus.
I'm saying that, I'll just say, I said I commit to hire a community health worker from the north side. No, I'm not allowed to just do that. What I do know is that for the purposes of
Okay, she did not say that, but I have something to say. She didn't say that, but I have something to say. Most of the homeless, my name is Tasha Stokes. Most of the homeless that, like we talk about, they're not from the north side. They're from a little bit of everywhere. I have preached a lot, yes, we do need a homeless shelter, but we do not need what you're saying over on the north side. I've heard from a couple of ladies in the community who live over behind the community cafe when they have to clean up their yards, when there are needles and things in their yard, or their children step outside to see people urinating or having tents. So that is a concern when there are children involved. So that is something that I feel like you got to think about when there are children involved when it comes to that. Yes, mental health plays a whole lot, and yes, we do need mental health physicians, those type of needs in Sedalia. Yes, we need that a lot. I had a situation the other day where someone had called, and I had to talk to him and call the police to have them go and get this person and take them to the hospital because we don't have that. And he said, when I get to the hospital, I bet they're going to turn me away. We need that. But we don't need this on the north side. We need to think about the children. You can put it wherever else, but I don't think it needs to be there. It needs to be out of way of the community where they can go, and it's not going to interrupt lives, but take care of their lives and get them back on track of where they need, what they need to do and where they need to be.
I have a question for the audience.
Who are you?
If this
Who are you?
Bob Cross, City Council, Third Ward. If this place were built elsewhere, say like in the middle of Sedalia, would you people be in favor of it then? So I think it'd be a good thing for the a corporation to start looking for another place. Do you agree, sir? You don't agree? Okay. All right.
I just want to say one thing. I'm gonna get Ms. Nash here. Juanita Nash, who's gonna retire next week.
Yes. Do what? Benita Nash, former councilwoman, 510 North Prospect. I understand what you're saying. Yes, we do need this type of, facility. But, like all of us are saying, we're being dumped on. We have enough problems on the north side. The homeless, drug addicts, mental illness, all of those people say, hey, we'll go across the tracks. Because nobody cares what goes on over there. We care, and that's what we're trying to tell you. And you're telling us, we don't care what you think. We're going to put this place on you anyway. That's what we're all listening to. That's what we're hearing from you.
Thank you, Juanita. I've been mayor, this is my 4th year, and I say this North community is the most cohesive community in Sedalia. I put this community up against any community. I mean, if there's a problem, they address it. They talk to one another. They take care of their mom and dad and the children, and they're aware if somebody's having a drug issue. It's an incredible cohesive group, and I appreciate it. Can I get Chris here? He had his...
Oh, yeah.
I'm Chris Marshall. I'm 711 West 6th Street, 2nd Ward. My concern is you've lost the trust. You basically have got this meeting together for the purpose of hearing everybody out, but there's nothing that's going to be done about it. I mean, that's why everybody's here, is to voice their concerns, try to have this move somewhere else, not in the north side that we have enough problems as it is, and now you're just ignoring what we're saying, and no, we're just going to keep going. We're going to move on. We've got enough.
Connie Washington?
Are we through with that question, sir? Are you through answering? Okay. Yes, my name is Connie Washington. I'm at 721 West Cooper Street. And not too long ago, you're talking about 24/7 bathrooms being opened. Automatic problem. We've already had problems in Liberty Park with the bathrooms and molestation and young boys, where we had to lock the bathrooms up. Now, you're talking about 24/7 bathrooms? Into my question. 24/7 bathrooms?
Connie is in the park board, and she can attest to the problems they have
At
with
the
it.
park board, I can. I know what they were doing in the park board.
Excuse me, John Swearingen from the Laney's building over at on Pacific Street. I think the community has voiced serious concerns, and these are legitimate reasons. I am begging you, as a Sedalian, Bill Turner, and your board, tap the brakes here. We need to do more work and more research. We have a lot of unanswered questions. Please.
The gentleman up here on the front row in the green jacket, did you get your question or statement? Oh, you okay?
Ava Seabury, 123 West Cooper Street. And my question was, where has all these professionals been for these mental ill, for the drug addiction? Where have they all been? Now you're going to get them all together. Why haven't they all been together? That's my question. You go to boroughs, I've been there. After so long, you're classified out. When you go other places, they won't take you. Police cannot come and get a person
laying in the middle of the highway, they could take you to jail for 12 hours, but you're gonna come back and lay in that same spot.
Any other questions? Comment?
These, 24/7 bathrooms on this, can you point them out for me?
That's one of them.
That's one. That's two, okay. So there's just two. There's one here and one here, and that's it. And so you're telling me that that inside door that obviously swings out is going to be locked, and that other door is going to be locked. And they will not be able to get into the rest of the facility. And that's just two toilets. Did somebody actually think that was enough to service these people 24/7? I mean, seriously.
It's gonna be vandalized. And it's gonna be vandalized, and that inside door, I hope it's sealed, because you want to get in, you get in.
Any other comments?
When I work at the kitchen that's just right there across from where this facility is, we have restrooms that they are able to use. Everybody's using and nothing's been vandalized. Nothing has been vandalized. I've cleaned them many times and they're actually pretty good. They do a really nice job of keeping them clean. We put a sign on the door that.
But aren't your bathrooms on the inside of the building? They can't get.
No, they're not. I agree with that. They are not 24/7, but they are restrooms that are being used by the public,
While other staff is there, correct? Okay, all right, that's what they're saying.
I just have hope that I feel like if you're there to help somebody, and that's what we're trying to do, that maybe not all of them will come around. Maybe we won't be able to help everybody, but we have to look at the ones that we can help and try to make a difference. Yes.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, my name is Paul Buckner, 220 West Cooper. What's your name again? Mr. Turner, would you please consider not building that building over there? Is there any kind of way that we can compromise and build it someplace else? Because you say you're a Christian man, right? Okay. You kind of remind me of a king named Pharaoh with a hardened heart. Do you hear me? With a heavy, hardened heart. No.
Mr. Newbell, this is your last word.
Yeah, I know. You know me, I'm gonna talk. Now, I'm gonna tell you, I don't have no problem with you building the building. That's a nice place. I mean, if you build it somewhere else, I don't think y'all know what you're really getting into. I mean, any of y'all ever been to Los Angeles, California? Go downtown Los Angeles. They started all that. Now, nobody goes there. People won't even move to this town. I'm like, I like what she said in a different way. If you're going to spend $750,000, you helping the community, because there used to be all houses in that area, and the city tore them down. You need to build the community up, put new houses there. You say you have a shortage of houses. I mean, I worked in the mental health field for years. I know this is the system. Like I told you, everybody in the United States has got a cell phone now, can see on social media, hey, let's go to Sedalia. They got this going on. They got a free kitchen there. People that are, and there are families, I'm not going to lie, that really do need that help. But why can't you just put it on the edge of town? How come you just can't put it somewhere, other than the community? It's like I say, I was telling her, she doesn't live in that community. She's not out there at 3 o'clock in the morning when those drug addicts are walking up and down the street, women walking around naked. This man runs a business there. You think, if I'd have put much money in that business as he did, you think people's not going to come there? They'll be going in, and you know that, because we talked about that. But he don't like to talk, see, that's what's going. He's not like his grandfather.
Mr. Swearingen?
I'm Reed Swearingen, 108 West Pacific, the Lamies building. I just have just one quick question for you, Mr. Turner, and I want you to know, believe that you guys are doing something that is required in Sedalia. Let me rephrase that. I believe you're doing something that is required in Pettis County. There's no reason it needs to be in Sedalia. When was the last time you were called down at 2 a.m. to that area because somebody was vandalizing or tearing something up? Because I have multiple occurrences.
Mr. Turner, I appreciate you saying you manage that kitchen that's there and you don't have any of those problems. But, sir, you're there for a short term and then you lock the building down. We're talking about once you're through for the day, you've fed everybody for the day, and you've gone home for the day. These folks come out of our alleys.
In the morning when I got there. So what he's describing.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You're saying that you manage that cafe, and we totally understand that, and we get that. But after you've gone home, those of us who live in the neighborhood, we're the ones hearing and seeing all of this at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and saying, why are we going to do something and put something here that they're going to congregate at, no matter what you say, no matter what you do? And I understand that you told me that there was going to be lights. There's going to be recordings, so that you can see it. Well, somebody's got to be looking at that 24/7 so they can say, 2 o'clock, call the police. We got to get these people off this parking lot. That's all we're saying. You're telling us that it's not a homeless shelter. We understand it. We get it. It's not a homeless shelter. It's a place for help, to help those get up off of the place that they're at. But we're telling you, with those that are already living in the alleys, already living in the trees, they're going to say, oh, we got water, we got bathrooms. That's where we're going to stay until in the morning. It's going to happen.
Well, let's talk about not leaving the water and the restrooms open that night.
Thank you. My name is Ilona Vargas Reed. I'm Tina's sister-in-law, and I just want to kind of piggyback off of what some other people have said. I recently moved back to this area. I'm also now the president of the NAACP, so I want to see a difference made in this community. But before I moved back here, I own a home at 802 North Missouri Avenue, where I currently live. I was living in the state of Alabama just less than 2 years ago, and a drug addict broke into my home. And they called my foster brother. They called me in Alabama. What was I going to do at midnight? I had to call Tina and my brother and my foster brother to go down to my house to see what was going on. The young lady in there claimed that my brother told her she could live in there. I told the police she's not supposed to be in there, arrest her. Less than a week later, I said, maybe I better come down here and check this thing out myself. In less than 2 weeks, she broke in twice. This time, I was there to talk to the police. I'm former law enforcement, cop, and CSI, so I kind of know the law a little bit. And I know that when someone breaks into your home, it's the police's responsibility to find out how they got in there. The police didn't even have to do that because my brothers found the screen that she took off the window and got in. But they only wanted to charge her with trespassing. But when I got there, I said, there's not going to be any trespassing charges. You know, I want her arrested, and I want her to go to jail. I want her to pay for what she did. They sent me a letter and said that I would get restitution of $200. The court contacted me. They said she has to pay you $200, although my insurance didn't do anything, and she damaged a lot of stuff. And they said she will pay you $50 a month until she reaches that $200. Give her 3 or 4 months. If she doesn't do that, call us back, and we'll go back and we'll arrest her again. You know how much money I got? Oh, I got a little bit. $25. And that was 2 years ago. I contacted the courts. Do you think they did anything about it? No. Now, I don't want to hurt anyone, but if someone breaks into my house, there's going to be a problem. And when the police were there, you know, I understand you have to run everybody in the household, but they wanted to arrest my brother because he had a traffic warrant instead of out there doing the job that they should have done to protect my home. I'm a senior citizen, and I live alone. And North Missouri is very dark. That street is pitch black. You know, I don't have a dog. I have a little bitty cat. You know, anybody can come in and hurt my cat. But I'm just saying, we don't need that building, that facility on the north side of town because we have enough problems as it is, and we're just asking you to hear our concerns. You people don't live there. You don't know. I mean, I understand everybody has a good heart and they're trying to do the right thing, but unless you live there and you have to deal with this day in, day out, it's not the same. And we have enough problems we don't need anymore. Thank you.
Any other comments? Well,
Okay, I'll try to live there, my own that way, but what I'm saying is, okay, if somebody breaks in my house, my car, it's gonna be liable. I mean, we know they come from down there. Are y'all gonna be liable? I mean, if somebody breaks in my $40,000 car, are you gonna be liable to fix that? No. So you gonna buy insurance, you're gonna have to pay for it. My insurance is gonna pay for it. We know that all high crime areas, insurance is high anyway. You know, we know that for a fact. I mean, but if somebody breaks in my house, or some kid gets molested, or somebody gets killed, are you gonna be liable? It's like everybody's around town, y'all don't live there, you know? Are you living there or moving the facility? Yeah. That's the question. That's the main thing.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what your answer to that. Can you speak up a little bit, sir?
I'm sorry, the question was, that continues to be asked but never answered is, when are you going to consider moving the facility? And where are some other options that can be considered? Because clearly there's a huge presence on the north side of town that doesn't want it there.
Well, I guess we can talk about it. There's nothing to be a lot of votes. A lot of votes just said no one wants it. Repeat them to me. Yes, you did.
Everybody wants it. sit down there, I can take you right down there now and live on that talk about it. In their cars, with their clubs and up all night long. And God knows what they're doing, like you say. There's people, kids in that area. So you think the only reason why they do there was about people. Right? Because of what? The cafe, street cafe, that was the primary reason. That was the primary reason. But you didn't get those reasons. I mean, you just think about community and how bad stuff is.
We would have thought that if we were opening a homeless shelter. We're not. And that doesn't seem to be getting across tonight. I don't know how many more times I can say it. I'm at a loss. I don't think I can satisfy it.
Mr. Barton, is on the board. You want to say a few words, Mr. Barton?
Well, the issue with the people in the parking lot, I'm Kirk Barton. I'm on the Mercy Board and Open Door Board. The issue on the parking lot is the issue we're trying to resolve. We don't want people there either.
We're not hard-hearted people. We're just parents and grandparents trying to raise our children. We don't want them to see any of this either. You know, they already know about it. They see it on TV. They see the crime.
Well, the difference of opinion to me seems to be that you're convinced that these services are going to attract people into the
That's your point.
And they're already
yeah, and I've said, okay, let's talk about not being 24/7 on the restrooms and water. That's going to be a problem.
The cafe is not open 24/7. But the people there are 24/7.
We've tried to explain it.
That's no point of what's about the people from gathering 24/7.
Yeah. We've already tried to explain that that's not going to be allowed.
I think this board has heard this community speak. I mean, obviously, there's a definite concern. I know the city council and the city has heard. You know, we have a limited authority in this case. But I've been working with, and Tina and I actually were trying to get the City Housing Authority to make a move. We've been in kind of stale position for 40 years and do some transitional housing there so we can have a place that if they come successfully out of this environment, drug addiction, alcohol, mental issues, to get some foot in the door for housing. And then from that point, we needed to have a house they can have ownership in. But that's a big deal. We can get people jobs. I can get anybody a job tonight.
Why don't you have them grant?
We are working on that.
20 years ago, they were going to hear 25 hours.
Well, this is anyway, so I hope we get some resolution to this. I know that people are listening. I don't know if the right people are listening, but I think we can. I know that Bishop Paul, he's willing to discuss this with anyone. I know Tina is willing to discuss this with anyone. I'm sorry, but
that's why I came to get some more information so that I could talk to people. But the last thing I'm going to say, and I think that we should all pray a little bit more for a better understanding of, because the scripture says, behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Right now, sir, with this project and the way it's been presented to a lot of people, it's not being unified for the city. You've got a lot of people objecting to what's being proposed, and it's not bringing the city closer together, and this is what needs to be happening right now. The one thing that I did hear was concern over more and more vandalism and minor petty crimes. I asked the question once before, did anybody approach the city and ask the city to consider in their budget what it would cost to have more patrols coming into that area once your facility is built? Okay, that's what I kind of figured. So I'm through, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. So we'll continue on with our night. I appreciate you coming. Remember, my door's open all the time. I know Tina's available. Bishop Paul.
I'm a councilman. You can always talk to me. Would there be another meeting before the decision is made?
Yeah, I'm willing to have as many meetings as we need.
The city, baby. The city has been saying, that's what we say. You know, let's just come to a consensus.
I don't know how many of y'all are old enough to know, the North Side. I was a kid. I remember I was a kid. They wanted to build a incineration plant. Okay? They did. They did. Dog pound. They killed dogs and they burned them there. And they built it right down there on Ham Street. Right down there where that tornado shelter is, that used to be a big pipe come up through there. And they would euthanize the dogs and they would burn them there. And if you lived on the north side, you smelled all that. So if you've been around here for a while, you'll know a lot of stuff has been done for the north side. And, that was years ago. And I was just a little kid, but I remember they didn't have nothing, they just built it over there. If you wouldn't put it in Walnut Hills, you wouldn't put it in Southwest Village. You won't put that in Southwest Village. It's like I say, the best thing to put it in is, if you're going to, I worked in mental health for years. It should be around a health area, like Bob Welsh should donate, and because you've got all this stuff you're talking about, alcohol, all that stuff. I worked at the Bob Welsh Stress Unit, psychiatric unit, and they shut it down. So what I'm saying is that kind of stuff should be around more health stuff. But $750,000.
Mr. Turner, I have one last question. I keep saying last question. I mean it this time. If you were offered free land somewhere else to build this, would you consider building it somewhere else?
We'd have to take that up on the board. I can't answer that.
Okay. Is the board here, or do you have a majority of the board here tonight?
No.
How much land do you need?
We'd have to ask the architect, and of course, it all depends on the lay of the land.
How many square feet is what you're going to build?
6,000 square.
Thanks for coming. Good evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thank you.